Gary and Richie on the formerly known as Electric Sheep podcast, but now sneakily rebranded to The New Timeline. That's obviously a reference to us being in the video space and also the progress that we're making right now with video and generative content implies that there is a new way that we will, as a society, be absorbing media. And actually, hot off the press, there is some big news this week. Gary, what has happened?
So Sora 2 has just dropped. It's a new foundational model with video capabilities from OpenAI. Actually, let's bring up a video first, and then let's go over some of those details.
Ladies and gentlemen, with a count has become 1, 2, 3, spin!
花火、綺麗だね。でも僕たちは少しずつ離れていく。
Ready when you are. 3, 2, 1, go! Dude, you alright? I'm good. Whoa, steady! Damn it!
Let's talk about tech specs first, because I love tech specs. So this model at the moment is capped to 480p. There is conversations that it might go up, and Dev Day is actually next week, so there's some interesting things there. The free accounts are capped at 50 generations a day, so you can pump out quite a lot of videos here. Copywriting can be ignored. There is an opt-out process, so if you're a studio or content owner, you have to contact OpenAI and say, hey, we don't want you to generate our content. So right now you can generate, Matrix stuff, Simpsons, people are generating South Park or Rick and Morty episodes that they're featuring themselves in. But there's a watermark everywhere. And one big thing that they've pushed now is the consumer focus. So, creators are maybe 1% of the ecosystem, but the other 99% of the ecosystem are just consumers, and they aren't creating. And this app is for them. It breaks down those barriers, lowers those barriers of entry, and lets people get involved. And it's all in this social feed app. And so the question I put to you, Richie, is what does an infinite wormhole of generated AI videos do for society?
Well, one thing is for sure that the quality of memes is going to go up substantially. I can see a world where globally various group chats are incredibly lit, and the guys are creating, your friend, I'm trying to think of an example. Let's say they get a promotion at work, and then you could meme something about them scoring goals, or you could meme something, something along those lines.
Yeah. I've already started seeing some WhatsApps pop off already. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Exactly. So definitely, give people these tools, this technology, and their own creativity, and there is no level to the amount of content that we'll start to see.
Go on.
You go.
Oh, well, I was going to say, talking about this sort of new level of media, this generated media, how does that stack rank against non-generated media? Is there a difference? Does it matter?
Yeah, well, I think that if people are looking to doom scroll, which it seems as a society we are, then this is great. You can go on, you can scroll through it, you start to see yourself in all of these memes. You can actually put other people and yourself into various different situations, and that's the level of content that people are sharing. Now, obviously, if you're in and amongst that and you have a more serious, meaningful message to share with somebody, albeit anything from the truth or your brand and your marketing, then how do you compete against that when every single individual has an entire production studio behind them? That's the real level that we are now going to enter into. And so it's going to be incredibly hard for anybody, any brand or anything like that to shine through all the different content that's out there. And what we've said from the get-go, and things that we know from people we know in marketing and the like, is that the way that you're going to win is through creating high volume. Now, there's obviously a place for very, very well, high-produced, incredibly curated content, But what you need to do from within that is create more and more different mediums to then get it across different channels and to get in front of as many people as possible. Because each one is like another lottery ticket, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And each distribution platform, there's that saying that the medium is the message, right? And so the way that you encode that message for that audience is different on every platform. And that sort of ties into the optimizing for platforms and fanning it out, like what we were talking about earlier, in the way that you need to optimize, say, Facebook to have slower pacing for that demographic, or TikTok, the way that you do your hooks is different to Instagram, and the captions, and there's all sorts of magic wrapped up in the medium.
Well, exactly. And this all comes down to the editor, right? So your original content can be of a particular type, that's fine, your long form or whatever, but the way that you package that up is so important. You touched on a good one. They have older demographics on Facebook. They like a slower pace compared to the TikTok ADHD generation who just want it, pre-chewed and bundle up to them in a very short form, quick experience. Meanwhile, you have things such as LinkedIn. Obviously, that requires more of a professional, polished tone compared to TikTok, Instagram, which is more about authenticity and perhaps a bit more rough around the edges. So these are all the things that the editor needs to be conscious of. And obviously us in the video editing space, what we're doing is building that into our system so that anybody who creates something, they can just ask for it to be optimized for YouTube or TikTok or whatever. And all of that grunt work, all of that housekeeping is done for them by the tool.
And so, taking a step back here for a second, we've seen research across all of the platforms, right? It started with TikTok, but then Instagram followed suit. Now LinkedIn too are prioritizing videos on the algorithm, and we're moving to a video first discovery world. Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, on a very basic biological level, we are able to absorb messages through visual medium 600,000 times quicker than we are text. And 95% of messages on video are retained next to something like 10% for text. So, we are visual beings. Text is something that has been invented far later in our evolutionary journey compared to having sight, essentially.
That's crazy, isn't it? But I mean, if you think about it, with ChatGPT and the chatbots, there is a call and response. And now ChatGPT are opening up Pulse, which has a little bit more of a sort of a pull rather than a push. But actually, video is the only medium where you get pulled through the algorithm, through the shorts and surfacing information that way. Every other mechanism of finding data is through search. And so that must lend itself to how much more efficient it is to sift through that data. As is proven by the stats.
What's Pulse?
Oh, so actually, ChatGPT's just released this new system called Pulse. It's part of OpenAI's suite, and it will send you daily messages and things like that. So it can manage your calendar, it can manage like restaurant recommendations that you enjoy and things like that. And it's kind of supposed to be this proactive chat-based system, but what's really interesting is how much later that's come compared to, say, TikTok and Instagram Reels and all that stuff, where YouTube Shorts, that was proactively video pull, not push, for a long time.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's scary, isn't it? Like how much time? I think I was reading it's something like 2-3 hours on average people are spending scrolling per day. It's something
That's
absolutely
crazy.
mad,
Yeah.
like that, and it is just where people are going, and it's so quick, that feedback loop, that the algorithm can just get you and capture you so quickly. I think we touched on this the last podcast we did as well, and so it's all about how can you play into that world with your content. How can you create content that will ultimately feed back as much data as possible on how to create it and where to distribute it. And it goes back to high volume. And so when you are working with more people, if you put out one piece of content, it does well or it doesn't, you have no feedback loop. You're like, I don't know why that did well. I don't know why it didn't do well. However, if you put out 100 pieces of content and 20 of them did well, then you can start to see those patterns. And so by putting out all this content in high volume ways, you're then able to learn more about what it is your audience are responding to. What are they engaging with? What are they sharing with people? And so that's the really important part of working with a high volume video strategy in the algorithm driven world.